Hi everyone, this is Ray. I'm just about to give you my views on a fantastic fight that's coming up this Saturday, 22nd of December 2018 at the O2 Arena in Greenwich. It's the much anticipated rematch of Dillian Whyte versus Derek Chisora. Now, those of you that can remember that far back, um, Dillian beat Chisora back in December. I think it was December the 10th, actually, 2016. And it was one of the best heavyweight fights that I'd seen for a long, long time. There was a no holds barred, sort of, I think all the training went out the window. All the game plans for both parties went out the window. There was a lot of ill feeling between the two fighters. There was an incident, I think, at the press conference where Chisora picked tape through the table at Whyte, and I think there was a when the gloves are off, what Sky do. I think Whyte threw his glass of water at Chisora, if I remember rightly, or it may have been the other way around. I can't quite recall. But anyway, so you've got these two fighters coming back for a second shot at each other 2 years down the line. But 2 years down the line, there's quite a lot gone on, particularly for Whyte, I would say. Whyte has been on a bit of a run recently, and sees himself in contention. If he wins this fight, potentially sees himself in contention for another shot at Anthony Joshua, who you'll remember he lost to Anthony Joshua um, uh, when he fought him on a technical knockout. But he actually had AJ during that fight. He had him in a little bit of trouble. So that would be a good fight if that fight ever came off. Obviously, I think AJ's probably got Dillian Whyte firmly in his sights now, and possibly Tyson Fury. So he'd have to get in the queue. I always felt a little bit sorry for Dillian Whyte because he seems to do everything right in terms of his career. Um, whoever you put in front of him, um, he does the job. He's willing to fight absolutely anybody, um, but for whatever reason, he finds it difficult to get the big shot. Apart from the one shot he's had at AJ. So we'll see what happens after this. So just a little quick comparison of the two fighters. I'm sure you're all familiar of them anyway. So you've got Dillian Whyte, aka the Body Snatcher, comes from Brixton, and you've got Derek Chisora, aka Del Boy, coming out of Finchley, North London, which is my neck of the woods. That's where I was born. Um, uh, so let's look at Whyte. He's 30 years old. Chisora 34 years old. So there's obviously a little bit of an age difference, and you are reaching that point at 34 where your body's starting to get a little bit tired now. And I know after all the fights, and he's had a lot more fights as well than Whyte. 200 in terms of rounds, 229 rounds for Chisora, 122 rounds for Whyte. So that's going to take its toll as well. Height, Whyte 6'4", and Chisora 6'1.5". Not sure how much of a difference that's going to make in this fight, because I don't, if it's anything like the last one, they both put the whole body on the line and just go for it. Reach 78 inches for Whyte, 74 for Chisora. So a good opportunity for Whyte if he wants to use his jab. He has the 4-inch reach advantage, and he could keep Chisora away from him potentially with the jab if he uses his brain and doesn't throw the rule book and the game plan out the window. So Whyte, 25 fights, 24 wins, 1 loss. Chisora, 37 fights, 29 wins, 8 losses. That's a considerable amount of losses. But you have to remember that the caliber of people that he's lost against and what they've gone on to achieve, or what they were achieving at the time. 4 of those losses, for example, he's lost to Tyson Fury twice, and we all know where Tyson Fury is today. We all know what happened just a couple of weeks ago in America against Dillian Whyte, where against Deontay Wilder, where you know, I think in everybody's book, we all had Wilder as the loser, even though he'd put Fury down twice. And to this day, I'll never know how Fury got up from that second knockdown in the final round. I thought that was game over, to be honest, but it showed amazing resilience, and up he got. I actually had scored that fight 115 to 112 to Fury. But there we go. So he lost twice. He lost twice to Fury. Once was most recently was in November 2014, and before that he lost to him in July 2011. He also lost to David Haye in 2012, and David Haye went on to have quite a lot of success. Not so much um, as his potential showed. To be honest, I think one of the biggest underachievers is possibly David Haye. And he lost to Vitaly Klitschko in February 2012. So the caliber of people he's lost against, they're good quality fighters. And the caliber of fighter that Whyte has lost against, he's only lost once, and that was against the current heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. So just looking at Whyte, so he lost to AJ. As I said earlier, he troubled AJ in that fight, and had he, I guess, been a little bit more inept, he could have, he definitely rocked AJ, and he could have possibly, got him for the kill, but he didn't. When he fought Chisora back in December 2016, it was a split decision, that fight, and I believe that fight could have gone either way. It was an awesome fight. I remember the fifth round. Chisora with a big overhead right, I think it was. He caught Whyte, and you saw Whyte was completely wobbled. But for whatever reason, Chisora couldn't finish the job. And one thing I'll say about Dillian Whyte is his recovery. I thought Tyson Fury's was pretty good, to be honest, but I think Dillian Whyte's ability to recover from when he's under pressure and he gets caught by a shot is pretty amazing. It was an all-out war. The 10th round, I think, again, they virtually just stood in the middle of the ring and just exchanged blows. And during that part of the fight, I gave that to Chisora. I thought he looked more effective. And in the final round, both fighters were hurt. Whyte caught Chisora with a I think it was a right, and you could see Chisora was in serious trouble, but he managed to get through that, and in turn he hurt Whyte. It was one of the best heavyweight fights I'd seen for many years, and it was a throwback to the old, if you remember the era of Foreman and Frazier and Ali and Ken Norton and people like that. It was a throwback to them days, and I really hope we get that kind of battle again on Saturday night, on the 22nd. Just looking at Chisora, sticking with Whyte. So most recently, he beat Lucas Browne in March by a knockout, and he beat Joseph Parker in July with a unanimous decision. So he has, he's raised his caliber of opponents. He's trying to make a case for himself as to why he shouldn't be ignored and to why he should be, considered for another shot at the world title should he come through this fight with Chisora. Looking at Chisora, his most recent loss was to Caballero, which he lost on a majority decision back in November last year. And his most recent win was, again, it's a good name, Carlos Takam, TKO, technical knockout in July 2018. Just a quick another stat. If you knock out percentage, Whyte's got a knockout percentage of 68% and Chisora 57%. So, obviously Whyte carries a lot of danger in his power and danger in his arms. Now, my concern is really for Chisora. I think this is going to be a very tough fight for Chisora this time around. We're 2 years down the line since they last met. 2 years older. It depends how hungry he really is. I watched them on the gloves are off, and I have to say, the more focused, the more passionate, and the more determined came across on that was Chisora. I think he realizes that this is his last shot. If he doesn't, it's everything on the line for this. So if he doesn't give 110%, I know that's a ridiculous phrase, but if he doesn't give 100%, let's say, and doesn't come out with a convincing result, it's possibly end of the line for Del Boy Chisora. Colourful figure. I'd be sad to see him out of the sport, to be honest, because he's a very colourful and charismatic fighter, and I think he's good for the sport. And equally for Dillian, this fight is such a big fight now. He can't afford to lose this fight because all the work he's done, building himself back up, his reputation back up, his credibility back up, his case for getting another world title shot. If he loses on Saturday, I don't know where he goes from there. He's been open in the past about he feels that he doesn't always get a fair crack, perhaps from Barry Hearn. Barry Hearn doesn't always get him to consider him for the biggest fights. But now he's got this. He's got this chance. How do I see it going? This is the prediction part of my video. So how do I really see this fight going? I think this is all going to come down to hype, a lot of it. I think it's a big venue again at the O2. It's a domestic fight, so it's gonna be absolutely buzzing in there from both camps. Both sets of supporters, lots of rivalry, coming from the same city, different parts. You've got North versus South. You've got the bad blood that went on between them in the past. Dillian Chisora says that he's since then he's found God and he only wants peace and love apart from when he's in the ring. But I think Whyte when I watched Whyte's last fight in July, okay, you put Parker away. Sorry, he won on a unanimous decision, but is something about him, to me, when I watched him fight, was a little bit amateurish. I felt he was sort of steaming in and still recklessly throwing the overhand right, and he didn't seem to have the finesse and the boxing skills, which I know he possesses because we've seen them. And I'm sure both of these fighters don't need to go in there and have an all-out war. This fight's going to come down to who's the cleverest, to be honest. It's such a difficult one to call. I think if Whyte uses his head and doesn't allow himself to get involved in a war again, he could win it convincingly. He can box, get behind the jab, and pick his time to launch the big right hand that he's got, and he could put Chisora away. Equally, Chisora, he wants this so badly now, and he seems to be the more focused. And I think if he gets his game plan right against Whyte, there's no reason why he can't win it. That's all I can really say. Who will win it? If I have to call it now, I think it's going to go to distance, and I think Whyte will win it on points. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please follow my my channel, and please subscribe, and please give it the thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment below, and please share it. Thank you very much.